In the previous video, we talked about how old Tanki Online is coming back and we basically had an overview of what we can expect from it. Well, diving deeper into the situation, we've come to see that unfortunately, this new Tanki may also cause some problems, and what these problems are, how much they actually mean to the whole community, and everything else that comes under this entire situation. We'll discuss that in today's video. So, I've made a list of 5 of the biggest problems that we might face, starting off with the least problematic all the way to the one that has the potential to literally destroy the entire Tanki community. So we'll start off at number 5, and this one is the concept of starting over. So when you create a new game, then your players need to create new accounts for that game, and I believe a lot of you might have an idea of where I'm going with this. But the thing is that if there is a whole new game that a person needs to play, then they'll have to create a brand new account. They'll have to play on that account for hours and hours on end, basically grind on that account. They'll possibly have to make in-game purchases to get back to the rank that they were in the actual game. And like imagine if someone with a 4-year-old account, which is let's say at legend 10 or something, needs to create a brand new account starting from private and working on it for hours and hours on end just to get back to that rank that they already have in Tanki Online. So yeah, that's a lot of work, and this is especially demanding for people that have made actual in-game purchases in Tanki Online. Like imagine spending hundreds of dollars or whatever currency you're using. Imagine spending a lot of money on your account and all of a sudden you get this whole new concept of a new game that is basically the old Tanki Online, and you've always loved old Tanki Online, so you just want to go back to that game and you don't want to play on the account that you spent so much on, that you worked so hard on. So yeah, that's a very difficult thing to do, just abandoning everything that you have and just switching to a different game. And by the way, this will also somehow turn out to make your account less valuable, because let's say a game has 1,000 people, right? And 200 of those people are people that buy in that game and have better accessories. So if 500 of those people just leave the game and that leaves 500 behind, and you're one of those 200 that buy, then essentially about half of the people of the remaining in that game already buy, so you're less special basically in the game. So all that money you spent on getting new skins and getting augments and being special is just the new normal, because everyone left in the new Tanki Online would be the person that has spent a lot in that game and just doesn't want to leave the game, basically because they've spent so much and they're not really eager to just abandon all of that money that they used up. And yeah, this is just one of the reasons why you should not buy in video games. So take this as a lesson if you will. And if you think that's bad, then just brace yourself, because it only gets worse from here. So number 4 is the competition. The fact is that this whole concept of old Tanki Online being revived is not something new to the market, right? We've seen different rip-off games like Prime Tanki, Pro Tanki, and I don't even know if there's more, but there are possibly more of them out there. But yeah, the point being that there's been a lot of games out there that have replicated old Tanki Online already. So now we have a problem. The problem is that let's say 10,000 people want to go back to old Tanki Online, right? So 1,000 of them are playing Prime Tanki, 6,000 of them are playing Pro Tanki, and the rest are playing this official version of Tanki Online. So what could be 10,000 people in one game having fun with each other and having a broad community are just like 10,000 people in different games working on different accounts and grinding on different games. So that does not make any sense, because it could all be just one united community, but instead of that, it's just 3 old Tanki Onlines competing with each other. So yeah, that's just how it works at this point. The official version of this old Tanki Online will definitely get some competition from these rip-off games. And I don't exactly know how the copyright laws work in Russia or like in general, but like, I mean, they're literally copying all your textures and all your maps and everything and just like customizing them a bit and saying, oh, we have a new game. So I'm not even sure why Tanki Online hasn't like banned or sued them at this point. But yeah, the thing is that Tanki Online exists and multiple rip-offs of Tanki Online also exist. And yeah, this will pose as a problem. So that's number 4. Now moving on to number 3, which is even worse, which is the Great Divide. The thing is that we did talk about this very briefly in the previous video. I basically mentioned how the YouTube community and the audiences of that YouTube community will have a certain divide. Like some people would want to watch new Tanki Online videos, some of them would want to watch classic Tanki videos. So yeah, there's a divide in between that, and that just separates people to one side and to the other side. Elaborating more upon this, the reason why this is so high up on the list is because, let's say for example, I like classic Tanki, right? So I want to play classic Tanki and I want to make videos on classic Tanki, but my friends that I usually play with don't want to play that and they just want to play the actual Tanki Online. So there's a problem, right? If they want to play with me, then they'll have to sacrifice their own, enjoyment. And if I want to play with them, I'll have to sacrifice my own enjoyment. Even worse is the fact that, let's say my friend was like, alright, I'll scrap my own idea and I'll just play like classic Tanki with you. But we physically won't be able to play that game. Why? Because since I played classic Tanki a lot, then I'll be on a way bigger rank than he is. Let's say I'm some sort of field marshal or like a general or a major or something like that, and he did not play that game at all and he's just like a corporal or something. So we'll have a huge equipment difference and we won't basically be able to play. So yeah, that's going to be a huge problem, and that's just the player based, like the game itself in terms of gameplay. When you look at the YouTube and the audiences on YouTube, then you'll only see the problem get worse, because let's say for example, the most popular Tanki Online YouTuber as of now is, let's say, Taspins or Jumper, right? So for example, if Taspins gets 6,000 views on his videos on average, then after the whole release of Tanki Classic, if he still makes that Tanki Online content, then he'll get like 3,000 or 2,000 views on average, because the audience switched to some extent. Some people went to the other game and some people stayed for this game, and since he gets less views, then that's less engagement. And secondly, collaboration. Let's say I make classic Tanki videos, Taspins or Jumper makes Tanki Online videos. We can't make collaborative videos because they are basically like playing a completely different game and I'm playing a completely different game. It's like asking a Fortnite YouTuber and a PUBG YouTuber to collaborate and play like something that's in between, but there's nothing in between to collab upon. So yeah, this whole divide will cause some problems. But that's number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is even worse, is the concept of having no hype. So, the best way to explain this is that the other day I was watching a YouTube video and the guy there basically explained how people don't miss 2015 Tanki Online, they miss 2015. And that is literally the best way to put it in the most concise manner out there. That's pretty much the way it is for most people, not all. But the thing is that a lot of people just miss the fact that in 2015 they were younger, they had friends. I mean, they probably have friends right now too, but they had like the friend group that played Tanki Online with them. So they were really eager to hunt golds, they were really eager and happy to upgrade their tanks. They felt extremely happy when they reached a new rank, and especially when they reached the top rank and all of this stuff. Basically, it was exciting and fun on its own accord. But at the same time, the thing is that this was especially fun because it was just that year and that childhood memory, or that innocent way of just playing a game and having fun. But yeah, at this point it just sounds like I'm personally attacking about 90% of the people that wanted old Tanki Online, so I'll stop. But yeah, now the problem here is that this hype of the game that we have had for a long time, that we want old Tanki Online, we want this, we want that. So what if this hype is only limited to being hype? And honestly speaking, this isn't even actually a problem. This is literally a horrifying thought that I had the other day. So what if this hype is because of the fact that everyone misses 2015 and not 2015 Tanki? So basically it means that, like, let's say even if a million players right now are waiting for old Tanki Online to come back, that million will play Tanki Online and they'll be like, no man, I ain't doing this, man. Like this ain't Tanky as I remember it, man. I don't want to play this game, man. I'm just leaving this, man. It was good while it lasted. So yeah, I don't know where that came from, but point being that a lot of people might just say, oh, this wasn't the way that I remember it, and yeah, it's not fun anymore. So basically the entire hype of the game that has been building up for a long time is non-existent, because when the people actually play the old Tanki Online, they won't enjoy it as much because they're different. The people that they played with are gone, hopefully not, but yeah, they're not there the same way that they were 7-8 years ago. And the same way you could say how like every person does grow out of some habit one way or another. So me as a 15-year-old would enjoy Tanki Online differently than me as a 19 or a 20-year-old. So that's that. Now the worst thing that could possibly happen is the death of Tanki Online. Now Tanki X, you guys know what happened, right? So Tanki Online was going really well, and all of a sudden Tanki was like, we are creating this new game, it's much better than Tanki Online. And quite frankly, it was. Without any biasness regarding nostalgia, Tanki X was graphically and gameplay wise much better than Tanki Online. That's a fact. Or at least, it depends upon the player, but to me, I feel like Tanki X was better. So what happened was, a lot of the Tanki Online players, including a lot of hardcore gamers, switched to Tanki X, and they were basically like, yeah, this is the better version. But at the same time, due to lack of promotion and whatnot, we're not gonna dive into every single reason there. But the thing is that Tanki Online lost players because of Tanki X, and Tanki X did not thrive as much because it did not have enough players to just, like function as a game should. So the thing is that there are a lot of reasons why Tanki Online lost players, right? There were bad updates, there were pay to win updates, there were updates no one asked for. But one of the main reasons is this thing that a lot of people switched to Tanki X, and then Tanki X was, you could say it was closed or discontinued or whatever you want to call it, but Tanki Online had a certain player base. A certain percentage from that player base went to Tanki X, and Tanki X ended. So because of that, those certain people that went to Tanki X had nowhere to go. They didn't want to go back to Tanki Online. So yeah, that was just a loss of players. Now what can happen right now is that, let's say half of the people playing Tanki Online right now switch to Tanki Classic because it simply is a game that they wanted to play for a long time, a simple, genuine, official version of old Tanki. But what happens is that half the players are in Tanki Classic and half the players are in Tanki Online, and because Tanki Classic has a lot of potential to become popular, given the fact that it is old Tanki Online, and old Tanki Online did have a huge audience and a huge community because of the way it was, so it is safe to say that Tanki Classic will grow. And because Tanki Classic will grow, it makes more sense to say that at some point Tanki Online will lose its players to such an extent that it will be discontinued at some point. Now, this is a far stretch of sorts, but understand that I'm not saying that it's like an 80 to 90% chance that this new Tanki Classic will kill Tanki Online in this way. Factually speaking, the thing is that the possibility is low, but it's never zero. So yeah, that was my list. If you enjoyed this video or if you agree with anything that I said, then like the video. If you want to watch more videos like this in the future, then subscribe. And if you want to share your thoughts, you can do so in the comments. I will be reading them. That's all, and I'll see you in the next one.